Hey everybody, it's Eddie J on crypto, and here's the video that I do to actually take a deeper dive into everything I discussed during the crypto minute. So Vanguard, they have about $7.2 trillion in assets under management. That's right. They're right on the heels of BlackRock, and they just dropped over $500 million in Bitcoin miners, Marathon and Riot. They increased their holdings in Marathon by 60% and increased their holdings in Riot by 16%. Huge, huge. Again, it's one of those things that I say that, today's thing was macro and strategic events that are shaping the future of crypto, right? And those are huge foundational moves. Huge foundational moves. Now, Certik went through a huge, comprehensive deep dive into security for XRP's automated market maker protocol, right? It runs on XRP Ledger. And they're expecting this particular project to actually bring greater functionality for both holders and developers on the platform. And that's why it's huge, because Ripple is saying we're secure, we're fast, we're trusted. Come work with us. Very big deal. A very, very big deal as they continue to work with major corporations and countries to do cross-border payments around the world. We should be paying attention to that. Again, for me, I'm looking at things not just that are going to affect pricing here and now, but I'm also looking for things that are going to lay foundation for a smoother future for cryptos. And when I see something like that, that's a big deal to me. Now, something I reported last week, Multichain Protocol took a hit, $125 million hit. This week, they took a $103 million hit, except this week is different. Why? Because the CEO has disappeared, vanished. $228 million in losses for Multichain, and nobody seemingly knows where the CEO is. Just saying. I mean, the CEO just has a name, like a handle. I don't even know the CEO's name, or I would say it. So that is a big deal. $228 million. Wow. Wow, wow. So it's smelling like a rug pull. It's smelling like, looking like a rug pull. So we'll see. We'll have to see how everything pans out. But this is what I'm paying attention to. So when it gets reported, I read it today and I'm like, whoa. Right? Next up, and this is actually really, really good. The Senate Committee on Finance leadership, Senators Wyden and Crapo, have come out and said, hey, we'd really like investor input on the taxation of digital assets. Say what now? Yeah. Send your responses. Let me read this so I can get it right. Send your responses into responses@finance.senate.gov because they want U.S. input on this. Now, this is a big screaming slap in the face to the SEC because that's not how the SEC works. That's how they work. That is a bipartisan leadership team asking for input. That's what makes it a big deal. Republican, Democrat saying, hey, let's get some input on this. Let's ask the public what they think. And let's see if we can move pragmatically. Yeah. The adults seem to be in the room now. No craziness coming out of the house. The adults seem to be in the room right now. A little bit of bad news. Algorand, as you know, has not been faring well in terms of pricing. And their most prominent DeFi project, AlgoFi, is shutting its doors. AlgoFi had received, I think it was about $2.8 million from Coinbase, and they're closing their doors now. To me, that's kind of a big deal, right? It's unfortunate, right? They're basically saying, hey, look, listen, nobody's telling us to shut down or anything else like that, but we want to do a graceful exit. We're going to move everything into withdrawal only mode. We're going to start closing down our social media except for Discord, and that's it. That's the way to do things. You give it a try. It works. It doesn't work. Try to do a graceful exit like these guys are doing. Just saying. Just saying. Now, something else that I noticed. Now, as you know, Coinbase and SEC are supposed to be going to court this week. And it seems like every moment of every day, there's another chipping away at the case the SEC could possibly bring against Coinbase. The reason why I say so is because you have 5 major entities saying that Coinbase is their chosen surveillance partner for the pricing of Bitcoin for their Bitcoin spot ETF applications. Well, that would be something. And it is. Something else that happened, ARK Invest. ARK Invest decided, you know what, now's a great time to take some profit, because it's not a profit and not a loss unless you actually realize it. Well, I think they're going to realize some profit, about $12 million worth. Now, don't stress yourself. They still own about 11 million shares of Coinbase. Cathie Wood is making smart moves. And Coinbase hasn't hit their all-time highs, but they were definitely up about 16%. So it's something else to pay attention to. Again, we're talking about Riot, Marathon, and Coinbase all on the upswing because of major investment and trust in what they do. I think those are big deals. This gives me reason to want to invest more in crypto than not. So, you know what we should do? We should get into the numbers. So in terms of right now, we're literally just moving sideways. There's nothing here that tells me that we're doing anything else. Is there anything on the big board over here? Helium is up 10%, but I told you before, I used to follow Helium until they decided they wanted to move protocols, move to a different blockchain, and they just fell off to me. But 10% is a significant move if you happen to buy in at the right time. I'm not holding any Helium at the moment. Anybody else? Stacks. It's only a 5% move, but still in a positive direction. Bitcoin Cash. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but we should be paying attention to Bitcoin Cash. As much as, a lot of crypto people write off Bitcoin Cash, its growth, just this year alone, is nothing to be laughed at. And I'll show you. Right. So when you look at Bitcoin, it's above 30,718. Ethereum is edging toward that 1,900 number that I really like. XRP is basically, right now or unchanged. Matic is up at 73 cents. Remember last week it was at like 60, 61 cents. So those are big moves. Again, reaching a new level, maintaining, reach a new level, maintain, bounce around that band right there. And I'll show you what I'm talking about when I say bouncing around that band, because if you look right here, let me move that over so you can get a better view. My green bands, my green band is between 26,475 and 31,580. But in between that, between the 31,580 and right about here, right about there at 30,720, no, at 29,567, you're looking at a smaller band at the uppermost portion of my green band where we have been moving laterally. Basically moving up and down, up and down, up and down. And each time we pop, those were opportunities to get into Bitcoin and make some money. And on the pullback, pull out your profits. If you're trading in that short kind of a band, you're paying attention to that volatility, that short volatility, right? DeFi Llama, we're at 57.4 billion, in total value locked, right? You have a lot of people, just holding their money there, making their money, and that's it. Fear and Greed Index, I believe, is at 64. That's huge. That puts us way into the greed space. All this positive stuff is really happening. I think the SEC's move against Binance and Coinbase is not having the effect that they hoped it would have. Initially, yes, but now with all of that positivity coming behind Coinbase, I think the SEC is going to have an even harder case. I told you the other day that, they were saying that, they may have known already that they were into, doing things that might have, been against, securities violations, all that good stuff. And you sit there and you kind of go, may. I'm still amazed that they would bring that kind of case. I hope the SEC would be smart enough to bring a stronger case against them, but I don't think it's going to happen. We are expecting the CPI numbers later this morning at 8:30, so that's something I'm definitely paying attention to, because the news that we've been getting about inflation has been on both sides, up, up, down, good, bad. So it's kind of just moving again at this kind of sideways kind of position. So I'm really paying attention to that. Anyway, this is Eddie J. Oh, happy daddy moment, right? The happy daddy moment. I had a conversation with my son, my youngest son, the other day, and we were just chewing the fat. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm doing research into, trading stocks, trying to really get to understand, reading charts and what the different things mean." And I was taken aback because we hadn't discussed it. It's not something he and I had talked about, and he's taking it on his own to go do this. 15 years old, and I sat there and I was like, "Wow, that's pretty cool." So he's explaining to me about how to read things, because I'm not a charter. I don't do the chart thing. Very little. I know how to read charts, but I do very little of it because that's not my thing. I prefer the news versus reading charts and telling people to react based on numbers only. I like to have both at my fingertips. But he's telling me about it. I'm like, holy moly. So I showed him what I use, and he's like, wow, that's really cool. I said, yeah, now if you take that and put it with the news, now you've got a really big picture of what's going on. Right? And it's not just stocks. It's stocks, bonds, options, crypto, real estate. It's just all of these investment models that are out there, the investment vehicles that are out there that you can play around with. And he's interested in getting to know how to do all that. It's not to say he's going to be a stock trader when he gets older. I don't think that's going to be a job in the future when, if you look at AI and everything else. But I think it's really cool that he wants to understand, how does money work? And more importantly, how do you get money to work for you? Very big deals, especially for a 15-year-old, right? I mean, my daughters look into it. My oldest son looks into it, but it was really refreshing to have that kind of that level of conversation with my youngest boy. That's pretty cool. It was very cool. Anyway, just wanted to share my daddy moment. Hope you have a good one. Have any questions, please let me know. We love doing the research, and we'll try to get it done. All right. Hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.